And now, Story Time by Tommy Nation Politics.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy Nation Politics. Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. Hey guys.
This is what I'm talking about, guys. Tommy Nation Politics.
How's everyone doing today? Guess what? I'm in Austin, Texas. Free thinking, innovative, and totally open-minded. Tommy Nation Politics. Gallant comrades, you have fought your fight. The task is done. During your 4 years of struggle for liberty, you have exhibited courage, fortitude, and devotion. You are the victors of more than 200 sternly contested fields. You have participated in more than 1,000 conflicts of arms. Joseph Wheeler, Lieutenant Governor, Commanding Cavalry Corps, Army of Tennessee. Joseph Wheeler? I don't know him. Austin, Texas, capital city of the greatest state in the Union. The Austin City State Capitol Building. It's the Capitol building and seat of government of the American state of Texas, located in downtown Austin, Texas. The structure houses the offices and chambers of the Texas Legislature and the office of the Governor of Texas, designed in 1881 by architect Elijah E. Myers. It was constructed from 1882 to 1888 under the direction of civil engineer Reuben Lindsay Walker. The city of Austin, Texas, capital of Texas, fourth largest city in the state.
You're looking at a scene no one has gazed on in more than 170 years. It's a tiny frontier community on the Colorado River called Waterloo. Now, back in 1839, when Texas was its own country, the second president of the Republic of Texas, Mirabeau Lamar, suggested making Waterloo its capital. The Texas Congress approved his choice and decided to change its name to Austin, in honor of Texas pioneer Stephen F. Austin. After Waterloo became Austin, the tiny community started to change. This is what it looked like about 75 years later. And here's Austin in the 21st century. Now that's me, the state capital. I'm the public face of Texas, and that means I've got an important job to do. So come on in, I'll tell you all about it.
I decided to quell the anxiety of my constant disappointment with our constitutional republic, a reflection upon the historic and gracious accomplishments we previously achieved while working together for the common good. The Spanish explorers were the first Europeans to arrive and conquer the territorial region of what they termed the New World. Settlers of the Spanish crown immediately mandated their territorial claim by establishing a mission. Area didn't take place until the 19th century, after independence from Mexico.
In 1519, Alonso Álvarez de Pineda, with 4 ships and 270 men, was dispatched by the Spanish governor of Jamaica on a map-making and fortune-seeking mission that took him into the Gulf of Mexico. There, he became the first European to lay eyes on Texas, and he claimed it on behalf of his king. Other Spanish adventurers and fortune-seekers followed, including Cabeza de Vaca and Coronado, who landed on the coast at different intervals and scouted inward, encountering a vast frontier and diverse cultures. Spain, however, had very little success taming the land and subjugating its residents, so they employed the two-part strategy that had succeeded in Mexico. 1. Establish missions to convert Native Americans to Catholicism, and 2. Protect the missions with well-armed presidios. The hope was that the new converts would then become loyal subjects of the crown, and their lands would become a civilized and profitable colony of Spain. The land holdings would develop further as farms and ranchos, where the raising of crops and livestock provided self-sufficiency for the entire operation. Constantly under threat and suffering from disease and deprivation, many mission presidios failed, but their establishment created the road systems and became the base for future permanent settlements. The Crown eventually granted lands to settlers who proved they had the will and resources to face the challenges that awaited them. It was extraordinarily difficult to stick it out, but those who did became the great landholders. By 1800, 300 years after Pineda first spotted the coast, the colonial population of Texas still only numbered 5,000 people. However, some settlers had grown quite wealthy, such as Rosa Hinojosa de Valle, the first cattle queen of Texas, who by her death in 1803 owned more than 1 million acres in the lower Rio Grande Valley. Her son, José Nicolás Valle, was the missionary developer of Padre Island. When Mexico gained its independence from Spain in 1821, Texas, no longer subject to the Crown, strained to identify itself as part of Mexico, and its own identity continued to evolve.
Ushered in by our rugged individualist spirit, inspired from our principles and values, rooted in inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The area now known as Texas was settled by Native Americans before the first Spanish conquistadors arrived in 1519. Europeans first arrived in the area in 1680. Over the next 110 years, various colonies were established by Spain. Recorded history documents settlers reaching central Texas in the 1830s, originally inhabited by immigrants from Germany, Sweden, and Mexico. By 1837, they founded a village named Waterloo, which would be renamed Austin in 1839, renamed after Stephen F. Austin, widely considered to be the father of Texas, after he brought some 300 families to the area, successfully colonizing it.
Born in Virginia in 1793, Stephen F. Austin would become known as the father of Texas. After arriving in San Antonio on August 12, 1821, to fulfill his father's dream of creating a colony in Texas, Stephen Austin learned that Texas was no longer a Spanish territory, but a province of a newly independent Mexico. However, the dictator, Santa Anna, was never going to allow Texas to be free without a fight. In a letter, Austin encouraged the colonists to fight, to arms, in the cause of liberty. Stephen Austin also helped design an early flag of the new revolutionary Texas government, borrowing influences and traditions from both the Anglo-American colonists and Mexico. You can see this with the use of the stars and the Mexican colors of red, green, and white.
And it has served as the capital and Republic of Texas was established. Of course, the years surrounding the Civil War led to rocky and unstable governing for Texas, and all the many various immigrants pouring in from countless European descent. Subsequently, summoned from a call to action of manifest destiny by the United States government. Manifest destiny, one of the first American societal exercises where our politicians enacted what in the future Noam Chomsky would describe as a propaganda model of communication, manufacturing consent for the extermination of indigenous populations that secured what they thought would be the nationalist interests, conspiring to settle Western lands and perhaps aid to extinguish the inconvenient, occupying Native American tribes that threatened their plot of a growing empire. Once the political and military influence of America reached its intended degree of supreme and secure dominance in the wild and untamed plains of the Texas landscape, Austin was chosen as the capital, thanks to trade routes in 1841, and the city of Austin saw its capital lost temporarily in 1845, but regained status after it joined the Union, the United States of America.
With
a financing plan in place, the state announced a nationwide design competition. Texas selected the drawings submitted by Michigan architect Elijah E. Myers. Groundbreaking took place February 1, 1882. Construction hit a snag when builders realized the limestone originally selected for my exterior walls had pieces of metal embedded in it that rusted and streaked after being exposed to air. I wouldn't have looked as magnificent if this material was used. Fortunately, the owners of a nearby quarry donated all the Texas Sunset red granite needed to complete me. On March 2, 1885, the 49th anniversary of the signing of the Texas Declaration of Independence from Mexico, a 12,000-pound granite cornerstone was laid in place. At the height of the project in late 1886, 1,000 workers labored every day. 15,000 railroad cars of granite, limestone, and other materials were delivered to the construction site. When it comes to my construction, people are most curious about the dome and the statue who stands on the top, the Goddess of Liberty. The main thing I want you to know is that the metal support structure created for the dome was an engineering marvel in its day. And the Goddess of Liberty? This photo was taken the last week of February 1888, right before she was hoisted to the top of the dome, making me more than 300 feet tall. At last, the grand capital that began with Elijah E. Myers' vision was nearing completion. The biggest celebration Austin had ever seen took place when I was officially dedicated in May 1888. Festivities lasted an entire week, culminating with a speech by Temple Houston, son of Sam Houston. That day, he said, "By this structure shall Texas transmit herself to posterity."
It attempted to leave the United States in the Civil War, when Texas was part of the Confederacy. After the Civil War, ranching and farming became economy. Petroleum changed the economy. Yet again today, Texas is the second largest economy in our country. The post-Civil War years saw the city boom. The arrival of the railway cemented the city's status as a major trading hub for the region. It was also this period that the state capitol building was constructed. Current Texas State Capitol is the third building to serve that purpose. The first was a wooden structure that had served the national capital of Texas in the Civil War, and it continued as the seat of government upon Texas' admission to the Union, built in 1853. The same site as was destroyed by the fire in 1881. But plans had already been made to replace it with a new, much larger structure. At the time of its construction, the Capitol building was built the seventh largest building in the world. A $75 million underground extension was completed in 1993. The building was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1970 and recognized as a National Historic Landmark in 1986.
The fact is, our identity can be traced back to the people who built this great state. Our identity was forged during the battles of 1836, the settlement of the frontier, and even the construction of the Capitol. We Texans believe in ourselves and rely on each other. We never stop dreaming. Our eyes are always fixed on building a better future. We believe there are no limits to the heights we can reach.
Free thinking, innovative, and totally open-minded. Tommy Nation Politics.